answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy updating our big story this morning. Amy and a bunch of old ladies getting together at Hershey High School tonight to remember the good old days when they were homecoming queens. We've got some former homecoming queens, or homecoming kings, excuse me, from the early part of the 20th century, also now weighing in.
Yeah, Dan Sabatello. Sabo!
Oh, Sabo! Hey!
Sabo!
Oh.
Sabatello,
Yeah.
homecoming king in 19...
Shot.
Do it. Go. He's going to be there as well. He retweeted my tweet that I just tweeted out. Because the king of 1987, Jeff Wilcox, looks an awful lot like Brett Kavanaugh, don't you know? So go to Amy Jacobson on Twitter. You'll be able to see it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you're as fascinated by Hershey High School nostalgia as I am, which I assume everybody is.
So we're going to have a bunch of pickup trucks there, and then they're going to put people into the pickup truck and go around the field there.
Yeah.
Go around the track a few times.
Great Friday night. You're going to wear your Letterman's jacket?
Well, that's what I was thinking, because somebody texted me and said, hey, I might remind you that you were the first athlete to be a homecoming queen. I wasn't a cheerleader or pom-poms. I was on basketball, volleyball, obviously volleyball.
Pioneer.
Yeah. So I should wear my Letterman's jacket, you know? Mix it up a little.
So you have that in a glass case at your house, I presume?
Maybe. Maybe it's in a shadow box. Maybe it's not. I could break the glass and get it out. My kids are horrified. Peyton and Eli are so glad that they don't go to Hershey right now.
I'm embarrassed for them for being embarrassed of you.
Mom, how are you going to climb up in the back of a pickup truck? I mean, some ladies might need ladders to get up there.
There'll probably be a lift or something.
Stop.
This is fun for me. So the vicarious thrill that I'm getting, because this is as close as I've ever come to being with the cool crowd.
I just cannot fathom that you went to high school and didn't go to one dance. You didn't get asked out to Turnabout, or you didn't go to homecoming dance, and you never went to prom. It's so sad.
Yeah.
You didn't even go to Turnabout? I mean,
No.
Everybody gets asked to Turnabout. That's when the girls ask the guys.
Right.
Don't you know?
Yeah.
Did you even have that at Bennett?
Yeah, we had Turnabout. We had Turnabout. Yeah.
So nothing?
Sort of a social pariah. Not much has changed. Sort of an outcast. No, but so this is great. I mean, the flip side is some people sort of tap out, max out in high school, and other people don't. So there's that aspect of it too.
I did get a text message from one of them. You're such a Hershey has-been. I am. I'll own it.
Yeah.
I'm a has-been.
But the 80s are coming back in style now.
You know, it's the
People
new
like 80s
2000s.
music again. They like 80s homecoming queens again.
They're wearing flannel, okay? And when I drove my 5th and 6th grade girls to a volleyball game, guess what they did? They played all the songs from the 80s that we used to listen to. It's kind of like Cyndi Lauper, Girls Just Want to Have Fun, things like that.
That's how old you are. Also, we understand from this story there were a lot of election irregularities with respect to homecoming queen and king contests at Hershey High School. So we're going to have a look-see into that and make sure that your crown is legitimate. And I can't think of a better individual to head up that investigation undercover so we get the truth. James O'Keefe, I mean, he's outed New York Times, CNN, Twitter engineers for shadow banning conservatives, Creamy Bob, convicted felon husband of Jan Schakowsky, for trying to commit election fraud in Wisconsin. So I think he's more than equal to the task of trying to figure out what happened with these homecoming queen votes in the 80s at Hershey High School in suburban Chicago. James O'Keefe, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, great to be with you this morning.
And he's going to be with us in Chicago at our Freedom Fest Summit Family Fun Day, October 27th in Itasca.
FreedomSummitChicago.com. That's where you can go to buy tickets.
All right, the founder of Project Veritas, James O'Keefe. How would you assess the, since you're sort of a press watchdog in part, how would you assess the D.C. press corps' performance in the last 2 weeks with respect to the Kavanaugh confirmation saga?
I think it's an abomination. I think the press is sunken to a new low. The guilt, the presumption of guilt based on prejudice is a highly unjust thing, and the press has overplayed their hand. And as Andrew Breitbart once said to me, There is no distinction between the Democratic Party and the press corps. They are one and the same. Journalists are making stuff up to get a reaction, and I think the antidote to all this is to simply expose reality. I'm not ashamed to admit it. When I saw the Brett testimony, I kind of teared up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I've been falsely accused a number of times before. I could see it in his eyes, and I think that we have reached a point in, I guess, an inflection point in our country where the media is so deeply corrupt that people are starting to see it. Because you could see the testimony, you can make the decision, and then you see the journalists reporting on it. So I think things are really changing.
What did you think about his op-ed in the Wall Street Journal?
I haven't actually. I've been traveling this morning, so I haven't actually read it.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the headline about how he's apologizing for temperament, and what I think it's like the Alinsky's Book of Rules, which I actually happen to. Alinsky's from Chicago.
Yes.
I happen to actually admire some things about Alinsky. I don't think he is unethical as the people who have inherited his rule book, but Alinsky's 10th rule was that the reaction is the action in a campaign. So this whole idea of accuse you of rape and gang rape, and then you get angry when accused, and then you say, well, you don't have the right temperament because you're angry. That is Alinsky on steroids, and it's unethical, and he should be forgiven for. I mean, not to get too personal here, but I wrote an entire book called Breakthrough, and in that book I was falsely accused. It was thrown out, and I can tell you when I'm sitting in the courtroom, and I was holding back tears. It crushes your soul. It hurts your family. You don't know what it feels like unless it happens to you. And Harper Lee wrote To Kill a Mockingbird, and one of the most amazing things is to see the left take the opposite, I guess, approach than to sympathize with the accused is a very interesting thing happening in our society.
Yeah, and actually there's another good op-ed when you get around to the Journal this morning from a partner at Claire Locke in Alexandria, Virginia, talking about how it feels to be falsely accused because she's represented a number of high-profile clients who have suffered false accusations, and the process you go through. She goes, for example, say, it's a hellish choice. Let it go and allow the lie to persist as a permanent blot, or fight back through the legal process to clear their name. As we talk through the decision, my clients grapple with the damage to their relationships, lives, and reputations. I mean, it couldn't be a more serious thing, which is why it's so important that the presumption of innocence be a cultural norm in addition to a legal standard. And that has the effort to destroy that, I think, has really boomeranged on the Democrats.
You said something important. You said a cultural standard, because I think what people need to realize is that the media has more power than all three branches of government, and so does Hollywood. This is a culture war now, and I think I read in the midterm elections, Democrats tend to lose culture wars, particularly in midterm elections and with the Supreme Court. But politics is downstream from culture. That's something that's ingrained in the DNA at Project Veritas. And the Soviet dissident Alexander Solzhenitsyn, who survived the Soviet Union and I suppose some of the things that some of our friends would like us to become, he said that all three branches of government are less powerful in America than the media. And the media has a great responsibility. I don't think this will last. I mean, the shame that they feel, they'll just double down. I do think, though, and to give myself a plug and on my colleagues, the work that we do undercover exposing inside newsrooms, inside Senate offices, we do have some stories coming out inside the United States Senate, going in their back rooms, exposing what they really believe and how they mislead voters. I think these sorts of things can change the perception. It's like what Orwell said: exposing water is wet and rocks are hard.
Yeah.
But when the media is so different than reality, that's how you change the game. And again, I just think it's important people understand. I think we need new counterweights. I don't think reform inside the government is possible. I think we have to reform the media, and that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, I hope you got into some of the Senate offices of some of those senators we saw on display in the last week. That would be very interesting.
Yeah, can you give us a little taster, a little tease as to what senators you focused on?
I don't want to scoop myself, but I'll say this. We have two nonprofit organizations, Project Veritas Action. We spent the last 6 months investigating some of these high-profile senators, some of them running for re-election, And one of the things that we found is that they're lying to the voters about what they really believe, some of them, in order to get elected. So they have to say, well, we're going to say this, and then when we get elected, we're going to do something different. So it's sort of exposing the lies of the politicians and how they mislead people. And it's all a game. It's all artifice. We're just going to expose it so people can see just how corrupt our political system is.
That's great. Although these days you don't even need to go undercover. You just have to put a microphone in front of Jeff Flake. I wouldn't have done this if I was running for re-election. An amazing statement that he totally doesn't understand the implications of what he said. It's amazing the swamp sickness from which he suffers and so many like him.
It looked like a Baroque painting where he was sitting there in anguish as his colleagues were touching his arm and offering advice. I don't trust. I mean, even Heidi Heitkamp in North Dakota voted against Kavanaugh. He said, "This is not a political decision. I'm doing it for the good of the country." And everything's a political decision. Everything these guys do is engineered. As Zelensky would say, we don't live in a world of angels but angles, where men talk about ideological principles but act out of power principles. It's all a game. And I think there still is interest in doing the undercover work, even though their fraud is seemingly out in the open, because their staffers are so candid about the reasons why they do things. And that's what our investigation is going to uncover. We're probably going to release it starting next week and the week after.
Great. We will look for those undercover investigations, as we always do, from Project Veritas. He's James O'Keefe, the founder of Project Veritas, author of the book American Pravda, My Fight for Truth in the Era of Fake News. And he'll be with us October 27th at Freedom Summit in Itasca, so you can get up close and personal with James O'Keefe, who will not be in disguise at Freedom Summit.
No.
James, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Message and data rates may apply.
The moment your child was born, your life changed forever. A dream came true, but other dreams, like getting your master's degree, may have been put on hold. But it's not too late. Patricia is earning her MBA from the University of Illinois as part of the iMBA program. 100